Good morning and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about the Cleveland Browns and their needs for the 2022 NFL Draft is our host and expert in residence, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on, Jeremiah? I hope everyone had a great holiday yesterday for Easter if you celebrated. I did. I know, Jeremiah, you had a fun time. And we are back again Monday talking about this team, the Cleveland Browns. Had a bit of a disappointing 2021 season, all in all. A lot of big changes this offseason. I'll get to those in a minute. But a very hopeful 2022 on the horizon. The draft is about a little bit less than almost less than 2 weeks away now. April 28th on Thursday. So we are rapidly approaching it. I can't wait to see how this team does and who I think they can add to improve their roster.
Absolutely. And if you are watching our live broadcast or listening to our podcast, we just want to say thank you from our family here at 100 Yards of Football to you. Telling your friends and family about our show via word of mouth has been the primary reason why we've grown so fast in the last few years and why our podcast now has over 700, closing in on 800. Am I wrong? 800 episodes.
Yeah, we're at I think around maybe 850 now. We're getting closer to 900.
Wow. So we are closing 850 episodes. I can't even fathom how we got this far this fast, but when we look back, we see that it's because of you. So thank you so much. Well, Mr. Logan Landers, the Cleveland Browns, the NFL 2022 draft. What do they need? What happened? And what can we look forward to?
Well, let's talk about these Browns. Let's go into their free agency. They had a lot going on this year. A lot of guys lost. They gained a few big pieces as well. And let's talk more about it. All right, so obviously we know the two big additions they got. A new quarterback, Deshaun Watson from the Texans, and Amari Cooper is coming on over from the Cowboys. Looking at some other guys who they're looking to re-sign. Some ones who were free agents still at the time of this recording with Jarvis Landry, J.C. Treader, Jadeveon Clowney, Takaris McKinley, Malik Jackson, Malcolm Smith, Dustin Colquitt, Sheldon Day. We got Ryan Switzer, Montreal Meander, Porter Gustin, Stephen Carlson, Dexter Williams. We have Malik McDowell and Duke Dawson all still searching for that next contract. We'll look at the ones who have re-signed with the Cleveland Browns. We have John Kelly, Miller Forstall, Dearness Johnson, Michael Dunn, Blake Hance, Chase McLaughlin, Jamarcus Bradley, Ronnie Harrison. We also have gentlemen such as David Njoku, Anthony Walker Jr., Chris Hubbard, Jack Conklin as well. And then we're going to figure out the ones who have came over, the ones who are brand new Cleveland Browns upcoming year. I already mentioned Deshaun and Amari, but they've also added some good pieces in Ethan Pocic. They also have a few other guys here. Let me find it here. Oh, yes, they also have Chase Winovich, the defensive lineman from the New England Patriots, as a brand new signing. And, of course, let's go to the guys they've lost because it's inevitable. You got to leave the team, go and try something new. They've lost Javonte Moffitt. They've lost Mack Wilson, Nick Mullins, the quarterback. Elijah Lee is going to the Chiefs. They also have Anthony Janovich and MJ Stewart going over to the Texans. Also, Rashard Higgins is going to the Panthers, trying to get his new way here. And also, Chase Keenum going to the Buffalo Bills. So overall, like I said, they've gained a good bit of people. They've re-signed some. They're still looking to maybe sign a few more. You never know. So that is what they were doing with free agency. Going into the draft, let's look at their draft picks this year. No first-round pick, but they do have a second-round pick at pick 44, a third-rounder at 78. Also, the third round at pick 99. Fourth-round pick 118. Sixth-round pick 202. And then two seventh-round picks in 223 and 246. So like I said, they gave up that first-round selection for Deshaun Watson. But, I mean, hey, you got a brand new quarterback this year. Baker Mayfield is still on the team. So, I mean, honestly, it would not surprise me if they trade him during the draft. It's been kind of hush-hush since Deshaun has got there about where Baker is going to go. I mean, there is feeling that Baker might start if Deshaun is still having some issues off the field. They might suspend him for a couple games. We don't know. So there's a lot kind of swirling around in the quarterback room for Cleveland. Baker wants out, and the Browns fans sound like they're trying to kick him out as soon as possible. But I think he will land somewhere potentially in this draft. He might get traded for some draft picks, maybe for whoever might need one. They might not want to go with a draft pick. They might want an experienced quarterback from Oklahoma. You never know. So I think that is definitely a possibility to look out for with this upcoming year. But on to some of the pieces I think that Cleveland can add on to this upcoming year. I think they definitely need to look at defense heavy. They just last year they couldn't get it going. It was a rough year all on. Like I said, they just were not the best. 8-9. They finished third in the AFC North after an impressive 2020 season. So they're trying to get back to their former glory. But I think that if they draft well, they have some solid pieces. Like I said, there's a lot of hype around this team. So we will see what they can do. Like I said, I think their offense is pretty much set. I think you can definitely go with a wide receiver in the later rounds, but I think you definitely need to look defense heavy overall with your second round pick. Go with defense. Go with maybe a defensive lineman, maybe an end or a tackle, just someone who can clog up the running lanes and also someone who can go and get after the quarterback and get some sacks. I think you definitely need to look at that with all the pressure, all the guys they've got there in the North, right? You've got Lamar Jackson you got to look out for. He is, of course, an MVP, someone that you can always be sure is going to be running around trying to get some extra yardage. And I mean, like I said, the AFC North is absolutely crazy this year. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, he's not afraid to get it done. And then, I mean, the Steelers, like I said, Ben Roethlisberger is gone. They're moving on to a new regime. You never know how that's going to turn out. It could be great. It could not. So you just have to get someone to get to these quarterbacks and also help out with the running game. Like I said, go with a wide receiver as well. Maybe get another tight end later in the draft. Someone to just help out and fill out that offense. Because, I mean, you might not need to rely on them heavily, like I said, with all the talent they have with Amari Cooper and as well as the rest of their wide receiving core. But if Jarvis Landry does not resign, which is looking like he is not at this point, just because I mean he hasn't signed a contract yet, and usually if one of your top receivers from last year, if he would have re-signed by now, then he would already be on the team. But you never know. NFL is crazy, Jeremiah. But if you can go after the draft, get a late rounder, third, fourth round draft pick for using a wide receiver, a tight end. You can have someone fill in there, be a nice, maybe a third overall receiver for your team. Someone who, if both your top two guys are getting covered, you can toss it to him. It didn't get you a good amount of catches and yards. So I mean, you can always improve on offense. Like I said, I think they need to go, but primarily be a heavy defensive draft. Go to your corners, help fill some of that out later in the round. And really, because I mean, you're going to have solid corners, solid safeties, man, just for who knows how long, with how impressive all these quarterbacks are around the league and how far they can chuck the ball. You got to have some ball hawks out there in the end. And then also, you can always pick up an offensive lineman. There's thousands of those each and every draft. Maybe look for a center, maybe look for just someone else on the O-line, but someone who can help protect your brand new quarterback in Deshaun Watson. You're not going to want him having to run around all the time. You're going to want to have him feel comfortable in the pocket. He might be a little bit rusty early on in the year because he didn't play it all last season. But I think that overall, if the Browns go defensive heavy and if they pick up a couple of offensive pieces this upcoming draft, I think that they can have a very solid year. I think it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see Baker Mayfield get traded during this draft for some more draft picks that Cleveland can use, either for this year or for upcoming years. So it's going to be an interesting season for the Browns, and it's going to be an interesting draft. But I think this team is going to be a little bit better this year. I think with the X factor being Deshaun Watson, you don't know how that's going to turn out. It could be, back to his former glory. It could be he might have taken a step back from not playing last year. You just never know. But that's the glory. That's the fun of watching how this season is going to unfold. But I feel that if the Browns can draft, I think they're going to do better than last year. I think they're going to get above that 500 win plateau. And I think they could always be a force in the AFC North as long as they get everything good, as long as they draft well. And I mean, they got a good core around this team. Their offense is stacked. So I think they're looking good this upcoming year. Can't wait to see what they do on April the 28th in Vegas for the NFL Draft.
Absolutely. And that's what we are all on the edge of our seat waiting for is that draft. I think you have some huge points in there, taking and leveraging someone who is a great quarterback like Baker Mayfield and then using that and trading it for trades and just getting in there and really making that move because it's what everybody seems to want in the organization. That's great. And it does shake things up. And it means that this draft could have some dynamics in it that we're not quite aware of yet because of all of the inside negotiating that goes on during these drafts. So that's one of the most exciting parts is figuring out what will actually go down, where the trades will really come from. So if you love the Cleveland Browns or you're really excited for the NFL draft that's coming up, we want to hear from you. Put it in the comments. Tell us exactly how you feel about the Cleveland Browns draft, how you think that's going to go, and what other things you're excited about for the NFL draft that's coming up very soon. So if you're watching us live, thank you again. But if you are listening to our podcast, we love you. Over on our podcast, we have the best people. We have over 850 episodes, so many of which are what we call evergreen, which means you can listen to them now, years from now, all the time, because we don't just cover the teams. We don't just cover the draft needs or the players or the games. We also do history specials, incredible interviews with amazing sports people from around the world and through history. And we have an incredible, amazing team that always brings you that incredible information. So you can listen to our Spotify podcast. You can listen to our Apple podcast. You can listen to our podcast over on Amazon, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, or anywhere that you love listening to podcasts. So thank you so much again, Mr. Logan Landers, for that NFL draft needs video about the Cleveland Browns. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and we'll be right back with another live episode. Stay tuned.